back or to my channel. Today I'm finally back to filming and I'm hoping that I can start posting regularly again. I just decided to take a little break, which was really nice since school's wrapping up, so I got a little bit ahead of my school and I just feel better about wanting to film and edit again. So today I'm filming on my phone because I think we already all know what has happened to my camera that I say in literally every video. It's dead, it's dead. There's no helping it. I literally forget to charge it all the time. So we're gonna use my phone, which isn't terrible because my phone has decent quality still. Anyway, point of today's video, I wanted to show you guys all of my pets and where I got them from and a little bit about all of their stories, because most of my pets are rescues or just came from different and kind of interesting situations in my opinion. And I've definitely gotten a lot of my animals from like very interesting and different, again, situations. So I wanted to talk about it, and I've seen videos like this and I just thought it would be a nice like kickstart back to posting again, since you guys do get to see all my animals and just kind of learn a little bit about them for any of my new subscribers. With everything being said, let's jump into the video. Zeus was my first ever reptile. He is a citrus morph bearded dragon. He was from Craigslist, so I actually decided I wanted to adopt a bearded dragon instead of buying one, since most of the time I was planning to get at PetSmart and Petco, and I did enough research at least to know that those were not good places to get your reptiles from, but I'm guessing he was from there anyway. The people I got him from said that they bought him from a local reptile expo that they had around there, which is believable because I have been to that expo myself before and it's literally like 10 minutes from where I ended up adopting him from, but I could realistically believe that they did get him from a PetSmart or Petco and they could have lied. I wasn't going to breed him anyway, but I just kind of wanted to know his genetics, since sometimes PetSmart and Petco reptiles can have more issues or pass away younger because their genetics are just bad. I just got him because he looked really sweet and I really liked his yellow coloration. So that is Zeus. He was just housed in a 40-gallon cage. He had very basic care. He had like coil UVB, just basic like PetSmart recommendations that they give. So he didn't have good care, but he didn't necessarily like have awful care where he was like dying. At least he had UVB and a proper diet and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, he's a healthy boy now. He's in a 5x2x2 cage, that's about the measurements, I believe. And yeah, he has 2 basking areas and he comes out almost daily. So he's doing really well now, and that's him. I'm gonna let him go back, but that's Zeus. This next reptile is Luna. Luna is my normal female leopard gecko. I'm not gonna keep her out too long, just because she is starting to go into blue, which means that she's going to shed soon. But here she is. She is a 8 to 9 year old leopard gecko, and I got her from a local pet shop. She was surrendered at about, I think they thought she was like 5 or 6 at the time, and now I believe she's about 8 or 9-ish years old. I got her for a Christmas gift. I picked her out myself, and she just was really freaked out, and I actually came in and saw her the day she got there, and they were planning to like quarantine her for a period of 14 days, but then I was just like saying how I would have just left her because I really wanted her that day. Luna is doing really well in her 25-gallon tank, but at the pet store she was in a 5-gallon tank and she was extremely obese. She still has a little weight to lose, but she's really lost a lot of it. So she's a pretty healthy weight in my opinion now, at least compared to where she was. So she's doing really well now, but the pet store just had bad care and I didn't want to leave her there. Yeah, but she's doing really well now and she is showing her age a little bit. I've noticed she's definitely gotten a little bit more like slow and lethargic, and she used to be pretty shy and kind of like spunky. So that is Luna. I'm gonna let her go back and she can go have her shed probably tomorrow or the day after. This next reptile is Ace. He is my adult male. I believe he's about 5 years old now. Harley Quinn, or is he a Harley Quinn? Maybe he's a partial pinstripe, and I believe he might be a Harley Quinn crest gecko. Again, didn't really care about his morph. I just like the fact that he had this really gorgeous olivey green color when he's fired down, and he doesn't get fired up very often, so he just looks really cool, and I absolutely loved him. He was also another Craigslist animal. I decided I wanted a crested gecko after I got my leopard geckos, since I wanted an arboreal reptile, and my parents agreed to letting me get one. And at the time there was absolutely like no crested geckos for sale on my local Craigslist when they were usually for sale. So there was him and then another crested gecko that I kind of liked, but I decided I liked him better because I wanted a male, the other was a female, and I was just obsessed with his green color. I've only ever seen like 2 other crested geckos that are like a bright green like him when fired down. I mean, obviously there's more. It's not like he's really rare or anything like that, but I just absolutely adored his coloring. And yeah, that's Ace. I don't take him out too often, but he had just very average care. Really, he had very average care. He had like a 12 by 12 by 18 when he was like 3 years old, and he was extremely skinny. They obviously didn't feed him enough. Actually, the first 6 months I had him, I had to like take him out to feed him with a syringe. He would not eat out of a dish, and he finally trained himself after a while. So I'm guessing he wasn't fed super often. But yeah, that's Ace. I'm gonna let him go back to sleep now. But there he is. This is Fletcher. Fletcher came from a pretty interesting situation. He was one of my first ever rescues. When I started rescuing for Crimson, I rescued him along with 4 other lizards, 2 bearded dragons, and then him and 2 other leopard geckos. They were just in horrible care. The lady just didn't know what she was doing. Her son owned them and left for college, and she wanted to kind of care for them, but you could just tell that she just didn't really know what she was doing. So I don't really blame her, but also I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. She could have easily done some research or anything like that. But yeah, he came to me. He was very healthy. Nonetheless, he was in a 10-gallon enclosure, and he's a big leopard gecko. So he wasn't in a great situation, but he wasn't in like a deadly situation or anything like that either. Kind of same with his other fellow lizards that I rescued along with him. They all just had really disgusting, dirty enclosures, but they were being fed and everything like that. So yeah, they just needed some TLC, and then they all went to new homes, but I did hold on to Fletcher because he's my favorite morph in reptiles, a Murphy's patternless, and he was just really sweet and had this awesome personality, and I just love how big he is. He's just naturally a very large, big-boned leopard gecko. So that is Fletcher. I'm also going to let him go back into his enclosure, but that is him. This is Stella. She is my classic Indonesian blue-tongued skink. You guys have not seen her for a while. I'm convinced she's a male. I haven't had her sexed, and I probably won't because I don't care enough, but I believe she is male, but she'll just forever remain a female, and I'm not changing her name. But here she is. She came from Craigslist as well. I wanted a blue-tongued skink really bad, and she was on there. I'm guessing she's wild caught, but the only reason I felt okay getting her was because someone else owned her and bought her from a breeder, or a seller, I should say, probably. I'm not completely sure any of her genetics, but again, I don't breed or anything like that, so. Well, I put Stella back now, but she came from a decent situation. She was in a 40-gallon tank, which in my opinion is too small, but she was also only about a year old when I got her. I think she was about 11 months, so she still had time to grow and everything like that, so she wasn't full grown like she is now. But now she's in a 90-gallon tank, and her old owners cared for her well. I think they did everything pretty right besides her diet. They literally only fed her dog food and no veggies or anything like that, so actually it was cat food. So now she is fed dog food, and cat food's fine also for babies and stuff like that, and she was pretty young, so it was fine, but they didn't include any veggies or fruits or any other proteins in her diet, which now she gets. So yeah, she wouldn't be considered a rescue at all either. She was just a rehome, and I absolutely love her. She's really awesome. She is pretty skittish, but I'm guessing that's also because she's most likely wild caught. But that was her. Yeah, nothing too interesting, I guess. She was just kind of a rehome, but I really like her, and she's just an awesome skink. Next, I'm talking about my White's tree frogs. This is Bottom. He is my newest White's tree frog, but I have 2 other male White's tree frogs that are also housed with him that came from a different situation. So I'll talk about them first since I got them first. I just don't want to take all my frogs out today. So basically, Bubba and Homer came from a rescue situation. They were housed in a 10-gallon tank with 1 branch, the smallest water dish I've ever seen, no humidity or anything. They were just in kind of a very boring situation. They were also very skinny when I got them, so they did need some TLC and everything like that, but they are doing really well now. They obviously just ate great right off the bat like most White tree frogs do, and they're super healthy now. And then this is Bottom. I got him about a month and a half later after I got them from a breeder. There was a local breeder on my Craigslist that was rehoming honey White tree frogs and just blue eyes, and I got to go pick one out. I originally wanted a honey, but he couldn't really tell, and I didn't really care that much. I just saw Bottom and I fell in love with him. So they thought he was maybe a honey, but they weren't completely sure, so that's why I called him a honey for a long time on my channel. But I believe he's just a blue-eyed. He kind of turns yellow sometimes, but he's usually just this really pretty sage minty green color. So yeah, and he has bright blue eyes, which is obviously, yeah, he's definitely a blue-eyed something. So there he is, and he was quarantined by himself obviously for a month, and then he stayed by himself for 6 months, and he just got housed with the boys in October of 2020, and I had him since last May of 2020, so I got him right at the beginning of quarantine. And here is the newest addition to my family, and I got her a few months ago. This is Maisie. She was a rescue. She was probably one of, if not the biggest rescue that I've had. A really awesome girl in the pet community rescued her and another leopard gecko, but she was only able to nurture one back to health, so I took her. The other one was extremely obese, and this one was extremely skinny. I actually was not sure if she would even make it. I'll try to put pictures on the screen. I've showed them before, but she was so pale. She had so many layers of stuck shed on her, and she obviously wasn't fed for months. I was really worried she had like stick tail or just some really big problem. But she started eating right off the bat, and it took her about 3 months to get finally to a healthy weight, and now she is a super healthy weight. She's a very, very food motivated girl, and I believe she's a carrot tail, but I'm not completely sure, and I wouldn't ever confirm that since no one ever really knows. She also has no toenails, I'm guessing from the fact of her bad sheds, unless she might have been born like that. She has a couple, but I'm guessing she lost most of them due to stuck shed on her toes, creating obviously blood flow to cut off, which means that she sadly lost a lot of her toenails and the tips of her toes. So she has pretty stubby toes, so she doesn't have much she can climb on in her cage just for her safety, and she also couldn't if she wanted to anyway. So I do have to be pretty, like, what am I saying? I do have to be pretty gentle when I handle her, but she's a super sweet girl, and she also, again, loves food. I really have to mention that. But now she's super bright. She's had a couple amazing sheds with me, and she loves people. She is really spunky, and she's also one of my reptiles. I have to change her cage up usually like monthly because she gets really bored in her cage. She loves exploring it, and especially the fact that she can't really climb on much. She sadly has to have more of a basic setup, but I try to make it as fun as possible. She has an extra hide compared to my other leopard geckos, and she has more foliage and everything like that, so I try to opt out for it. But well, those are all of my animals. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learning a little bit more about them. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you guys next time. I love you so much. Goodbye.